my favorite time of the month. Walk around and record all the clicks for all the machines and add them up and see how much I've been printing last month. Even if you have just one machine, you got to do that. Make a spreadsheet, keep track of everything, then you can calculate your costs and see what's going on. Information is power. No, knowledge is power. Somebody's got a case of the lazies. So today I want to talk about what kind of printer you should buy if you're just getting into printing. It's an extremely loaded question and the answer is not easy, but I'm going to take a stab at it and hopefully help some people out and give some good wisdom. But first, I got to print some chihuahuas in Spanish. Oh, that one's a doctor. So a lot of people on YouTube and other people that I've talked to have started out a printing business with something small, like this copier here. I started with the Xerox 3535 and that printed good quality and it printed on the paper that we wanted. The speed and economy wasn't there though. Typically your cost to operate one of these, if you're doing heavy coverage and large volumes, is kind of high. I keep this for just copies and just simple stuff in the office here, but that's about all it's good for me anyways. So I've been hesitating to speak into this question because it is a very difficult question and it's going to be different for just about everybody, depending mostly on what your customer needs. Are you going to be trying to print business cards or just flyers? Do you need bleed? There's lots of questions as into, you basically need to buy a machine that's going to print what makes your customer happy. And it's going to be different for everybody. And there's no brand that is going to be, you know, better than another. I mean, I guess that's debatable. But the reality is that any brand copier out there is going to produce a high quality image for you, at least as you get started. It's going to be a low entry point. There's going to be less risk on getting a small copier or even a desktop printer. But again, your cost per sheet through that is going to be high. So you got to keep that in mind. The biggest thing to think about is the limitations of the printer you're looking at. A lot of the time they're limited by paper thickness. So your copiers are going to do more of a lightweight cover, but if you need like a 16 point or like a 350 GSM paper, you're going to need to start looking into production machines. That's going to be a little bit more costly, a higher entry point to start, but more economy on the back end. A lot more risk, but a lot more reward as long as you can keep that machine running, because you can't just buy a machine and hope to make money on it. You need to run it as much as you possibly can. I've heard lots of people say they've had good luck with the office Konica copiers. I forget the numbers that they are. I've never used them, but I hear lots of people having success using that as an entry point. It'd be a good thing to find your local dealer and go print some out and just see what the quality looks like, see what the cost for that machine would be. If you're just starting, I probably wouldn't suggest you service the machine yourself. Get a lease, get it under contract, and then start building up your business and running it more and more and more. And my best advice is put off buying a machine for as long as you can. And how you do that is by outsourcing your printed products. There are tons of trade printers out there that just print for trade, meaning you just have them print it and then you sell it to your customer. And there's no machines to buy, there's no risk, or very, very little risk. And the prices are good that you can still build your profit in there and do that time and time again until you're like, wow, the numbers make sense. I should probably start thinking about buying a machine and just printing this myself instead of sending it out to another printer and reselling it to my customer. That is the best way, that is to utilize a trade printer, as long as you can do that. And I'm not sure if there's trade printers around the world, but in the United States, you have easy access to all types of trade printers. So I would recommend you do that before buying a machine. Even just if you try it a couple times, that gives you access to many different varieties of printed products, many different papers, many different finishing processes, and you don't have to buy anything. I totally recommend that. Okay, if you're convinced that you are ready to buy a printer to print your own products, you're either going to have to do used or new. If you're going to buy something new and you're going to lease it, you have basically two options with the lease. You can either do a dollar buyout, meaning that you pay a monthly price for X number of months, and then you own the machine at the end of it. You buy it for $1. Or you could do a fair market value, which lowers your monthly lease payments, but then at the end of the lease, you have to pay fair market for that machine. You don't actually own it. You basically have the option to buy it. I've always done dollar buyouts for a lease. If you're going to lease through the press manufacturer, I would instead recommend that you borrow money from your local bank and just do a cash purchase. You can generally save yourself a little bit of money doing that. If you want to go the used route, eBay, Craigslist, you can buy used machines from dealers, Xerox, Canon, Konica, Ricoh. They all sell used machines, and there's actually tons of businesses that sell refurbished copiers, and you can get a really good deal getting a used machine. The downside to that is you will likely have to do your own service, because it's not going to be cost effective to hire a professional to service it unless you do time and materials and you service it that way. All that being said, you're still going to have to do a lot of research to figure out if the machine will be good for your application. Page size, if you're doing wide format, the width of the machine, the different types of substrates that you can print on it. There are a lot of variables that you're going to have to narrow down to a specific machine that you're going to want to get to do the job for you. And other things that you shouldn't forget, if you're going to buy a used copier and you're going to try and bring it in to either your home or a business by yourself, don't forget other additional costs. I mean, if it's not going to take 110 volt electricity and you need 220, you're going to have to either hire an electrician to do that work or do it yourself. There are additional costs to actually getting a machine. You're going to need paper inventory, you're going to need toner inventory, parts inventory, You're gonna have to buy a service manual. So there's, aside from the acquisition cost of that printer, you're gonna have to also fork out some money to make sure that thing is gonna be able to run most of the time. Now, a lot of people have also asked me why I chose Konica, and there are basically two big reasons. We previously had Xerox machines, and I love Xerox. They make a great machine. The quality was good. The uptime was sometimes struggling. I know we had some issues that seemed like every week there was a problem, but to not blame Xerox, it was, I think the Nuvera that we had was maybe like within the top 10 first installs. So it was a new machine. There's going to be issues. It's just the way it is. So I'm not going to knock on them for that. Now, that machine was a fair market value lease, which was a bummer because that was another deciding factor of why we jumped ship and went to Konica, because the Konica machines were cheaper to purchase and also had a lower click cost, so they were cheaper to operate, and the print quality was comparable, if not identical. But above and beyond that, my customers wouldn't be able to tell the difference, and that is the main reason why we switched to Konica. The other great thing I like is that I can buy parts and supplies. They're readily available to keep the machines running myself. If you want to do that, that option is there. Xerox has the majority of the digital printing market in the United States anyways, but Konica is, always growing and is a close second there. I don't know what it is nowadays, who has the most market share, but they're comparable products. So hopefully something was useful in my rambling in this video. I just want to stress that, it is a big commitment to jump into a production digital printer. So it shouldn't be taken lightly. But that being said, if you're going to commit to trying to start up your own printing business or bring printing in-house, sometimes just buying an office copier really is too small of a stepping stone to a production machine. There's not that, it's still thousands of dollars more, but a production machine is going to serve you better in the long run with the duty cycles. They're just made to run nonstop. They're made to run longer and be more economical. The parts inside a production machine are going to last a lot longer, so you have to open it up and change things out less frequently, saving time. And also, your main consumables of toner and drums, belts, wires, they're all going to last longer, and per sheet will cost you less on a production machine. And you got to remember, if you're going to jump into a used production machine that's, I don't know, if you're lucky to find something for like $20,000, if it's a pretty new one, it's going to retain its resale value. So, it's not too bad, but it certainly is still scary, and I can completely understand that starting out. So if you made it this far and you are disappointed that I didn't actually name a machine that you should go out and buy, the good thing is you can go down and look in the comments, because I'm going to ask everybody that's viewing right now to comment below. What was your first machine? What are you running now? What kind of recommendations do you have that I missed? Because I'm just shooting from the hip here about my situation, but it's so complicated because everybody's situation is different, and you know, there's just no straight answer. So I'm looking forward to hearing what other guys were running and how they're making out with that. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.